Right now, beneath your feet, beneath cities, beneath oceans, beneath everything you think is solid, something is breathing. It has been breathing for thousands of years, and scientists believe it is almost ready to exhale. Yellowstone National Park. 2 million visitors a year come here for the beauty. Very few of them realize they are standing on top of the most dangerous geological weapon on Earth. And the question that keeps volcanologists awake at night is not if it erupts. It is what happens to the world when it does. To understand what a supervolcano is, you first need to forget everything you think you know about volcanoes. A regular volcano, like Mount St. Helens, explodes upward. It creates a cone. It devastates a region. A supervolcano does not do that. A supervolcano does not even look like a volcano. It looks like a valley, a park, a lake, because the caldera, the chamber, is so massive that when it erupts, it does not build upward, it collapses inward. And in doing so, it unleashes energy that makes nuclear bombs look like birthday candles. The Volcanic Explosivity Index ranks eruptions from 0 to 8. Mount St. Helens in 1980 was a 5. The eruption that destroyed Pompeii was a 5. Krakatoa, one of the deadliest in recorded history, was a 6. A supervolcano is an 8. That is not twice as powerful as a 6. That is 1,000 times more powerful. 1,000 times, 74,000 years ago. On the island we now call Sumatra, a supervolcano named Toba erupted. What happened next almost ended our species entirely. Toba ejected 2,800 cubic kilometers of rock and ash into the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, that is enough material to bury the entire United States under nearly a foot of rock. The eruption triggered what scientists call a volcanic winter. Global temperatures dropped by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. For 6 years, crops could not grow. Sunlight could not break through. Animals died in waves. And the human population, according to genetic evidence, was reduced to as few as 10,000 individuals on the entire planet. 10,000 people, the size of a small town. We almost did not survive a supervolcano 74,000 years ago. And since then, the world's supervolcanoes have only been accumulating pressure. The ground at Yellowstone has risen 10 inches in the last decade alone. It is 6:47 a.m., a Tuesday. The first signal is not sound, it is silence. Every animal within 50 miles goes still. The birds stop. The ground begins to vibrate at a frequency too low for human ears to detect. Seismographs across the continent light up simultaneously. And then the eruption column punches through the atmosphere at speeds exceeding 1,500 kilometers per hour. Within minutes, it reaches 50 kilometers into the sky, twice the cruising altitude of a commercial aircraft. Within the first hour, pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of gas and rock, moving at 700 kilometers per hour, erase everything within a 100-kilometer radius. No evacuation, no survival, total obliteration. By hour 6, volcanic ash begins falling on Denver, Colorado, Kansas, Iowa. By hour 24, a thick blanket of ash covers over 1 million square kilometers of the United States. Infrastructure collapses. Engines fail, both aircraft and automobile. Power grids short out. Water supplies contaminate. Within 72 hours, the United States food supply chain, the most complex logistics network ever built, begins to collapse. Not because of the explosion, because of the ash. You cannot plow fields buried under 2 feet of rock powder. You cannot truck food across roads that no longer exist. You cannot fly aid in when no plane can land. FEMA's own internal studies suggest that a Yellowstone-scale eruption would exceed the entire response capacity of the United States government combined. This is not a regional disaster. This is a national, extinctional-level scenario. But the story does not end at America's borders. Within weeks, sulfur dioxide, released in quantities measured in billions of tons, begins converting to sulfuric acid droplets in the stratosphere. These aerosols act as a planetary mirror, reflecting sunlight back into space before it can warm the Earth. Global temperatures begin to drop, not gradually, rapidly. The growing seasons in Europe shorten by weeks, then months. Asia's monsoon patterns, the weather systems that feed 3 billion people, begin to destabilize. Famine does not arrive like a flood. It arrives like a slow tide. First, the prices rise. Then the shelves empty. Then the borders close. Within 2 years of a Yellowstone eruption, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization projects a global food production shortfall of over 70%. The death toll from the eruption itself, the pyroclastic flows, the earthquakes, the immediate devastation would likely be in the hundreds of thousands. The death toll from what follows, the starvation, the disease, the geopolitical collapse, could be in the billions. Here is what no one will tell you on the evening news. We do not actually know when Yellowstone will erupt. The USGS monitors it around the clock with thousands of seismic sensors, GPS satellites, and thermal imaging equipment. They are watching it with every instrument science has ever invented. And yet scientists can predict a hurricane days in advance. They can predict a solar eclipse centuries in advance. A supervolcano eruption gives us hours, maybe days, maybe. There are also supervolcanoes beyond Yellowstone that most people have never heard of. Campi Flegrei, beneath the city of Naples, Italy, with a population of 3 million, has been showing signs of unrest since 2012. The ground there has risen by over a meter. Scientists have raised its alert level twice in the last decade. And beneath New Zealand, beneath Japan, beneath the floor of the Pacific Ocean itself, we are not living on a stable planet. We are living on a crust thin enough to crack, and below that crust are forces that make human civilization look like a sketch in the sand before high tide. And yet here is the strange, humbling truth. Yellowstone is also one of the most breathtaking places on Earth. The same heat that could destroy civilization powers the geysers that millions come to witness in wonder. The same geological violence that buried ancient species created the hot springs. The rainbow-colored bacterial mats, the geothermal beauty that makes Yellowstone unlike anywhere else on the planet. The Earth is not our enemy. It simply does not know we are here. Every generation has lived under the shadow of something they could not control. Plagues, wars, storms, the slow unraveling of things they thought were permanent. And every generation found a way somehow to look up, to keep going. We are the descendants of the 10,000 people who survived Toba. Their world ended, and we are what came after. The supervolcano beneath Yellowstone has erupted 3 times in the last 2.1 million years. 640,000 years ago was the last time. Scientists say the average interval between eruptions is approximately 725,000 years. We are 85,000 years overdue. Sleep well,